Back on America's Day at the Racing here on Fox Sports 2. Good to have you with us on this Saturday afternoon with racing from Belmont Park at Churchill Downs, the 5th at Churchill. Coming up next, the Audubon with a purse of $150,000, mile and an eighth on the turf for 3-year-olds. And we're going to see the 1-2 finishers from that Jeff Ruby Stakes both returning today. We're going to see Sainthood later today at Belmont, but we have Like the King, the winner of that race, back on turf today here at Churchill coming up for Wesley Ward. Let's check in with our Hall of Famer Gary Stevens for more.
Yeah, guys, Like the King, he looked great walking over here in front of the grandstand. Went and checked him over at the paddock. Saddled great, very, very relaxed. He can be an aggressive type horse. Thing about this horse, he ran a decent race in the Kentucky Derby. Drayden Van Dyke had ridden him in there, said that, you know, he got over the ground okay, but he didn't feel like he did when he had worked him on the turf 3 weeks prior to. The horse absolutely loved the turf course at Keeneland. He's since come over here since the Kentucky Derby and had 2 workouts on the grass, spectacular workouts. I watched one of them, and I watched the day that he worked over at Keeneland. He's a different type moving horse, but this race is loaded, guys. The 6 horses, Celeste, he's only had 3 races, and listen, he got beat a nose in his last race, but 0 pace in the race. It was going a mile and an eighth, and they absolutely walked the dog for the first half mile that day. It was a good turf course, handled it okay. My fear in this race right here, there is no real speed in this race. I think it's going to be a dawdling pace. Who knows? There's no horse in the race that's ever gone wire to wire except for Like the King. And I know that Wesley, he would like to have probably a horse in front of him. Who that horse is going to be, I don't know. But then you've got 4 horses that came out of the American Turf race that was on Derby Day. It was a mile and an eighth as well, or a mile and a 16th, but it was a 14-horse field. And 3 out of those 4 horses that coming out of there, Palazzi, the 1 horse, the 3-horse, Cave Hill coming out of the Rushaway over at Turfway, which was a win also on Jeff Ruby Day. But then the 4-horse out of the American Turf, Trouble. 8-horse, Royal Prince, Trouble. And it was because of that big field. So they go from a 14-horse field in the American Turf to a 7-horse field. But I think it's going to be kind of a messy race early on, guys trying to sort themselves out as a jockey when you're sitting up in the weigh-in room trying to figure out where you're going to be in a race like this. At the end of the day, you just say, you know what, I'm going to play off the break and see how it goes. But my pick in here would be Like the King with Celeste running second. Greg?
All right, Gary, thank you. About to load up here. That is, was the favorite. It's now back to Like the King. And Gary's talking about maybe who's going to be that pace setter that if Like the King could sit off of, and maybe it's Holy Val, the 7, who does have speed.
That's kind of who I landed on as the speed, particularly with David Cabrera, who had proved at Oaklawn to be pretty aggressive.
If you want to play this race, you can do so by getting signed up and started with Twin Spires. That code to use and sign up for new members, get 200. Go to twinspires.com or download that app to get involved and play all the races. So Like the King coming out of the Kentucky Derby, 12th in that race with Drayden Van Dyke on board that day, getting back to turf. Only try over the lawn, seemed to really like it at Belterra.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, his race on synthetic, too, is so good that you got to think that kind of, to me, always correlates. Horses that run good on synthetic usually run pretty well on turf.
Meanwhile, cellist for Rusty Arnold, Julien Leperoux. Just missed by a nose against Flora for him last time out after a slow beginning and just lost that nod by a nose. Talking about the 6 in here, and Julien Leperoux again. Back aboard, he's been the regular pilot as we take a look here at Hidden Enemy. Another one that looks like an intriguing runner coming out of a grade 2 on the grass.
Yeah, but another one that, you know, we talk about the lack of pace. He is a horse that possesses very little early speed. Is there any chance the 7 Holy Val can lead them wire to wire?
I don't see why not.
At a big price?
Second in Stakes Company. Granted, that was Sam Houston, but was tough against Royal Prince in that race. Can Cabrera, David Cabrera, there is the 7, open up, get a big enough lead? How close will Like the King lay behind him in here? Or will he lay behind at all? Audubon, 5th from Churchill. Let's go to Travis Stone.
And they're off. Holy Vow was squeezed back soon after the start. Hidden Enemy bounces out on top and goes straight for the lead. Cellist is also there, and for that outside post, Royal Prince grabs a forward spot too. Bias for the first time, it's Cellist out there on an uncontested lead so far. Tries to back down that pace to the gallop Bias. Royal Prince is racing up into second. Hidden Enemy settles in toward the inside to be third. Like the King is fourth, Palazzi's in fifth, Holy Vow in sixth, and Cave Hill is at the back in seventh, about 8 lengths off the lead as they move into the clubhouse turn, where it is Cellist in front. Unopposed, reserved on the front end. No pressure yet from Royal Prince, who's back racing in second. Hidden Enemy toward the inside, saving ground from third. Like the King, cruising along in fourth, only 3 lengths off the lead to the backstretch run. Then it's Palazzi, followed by Cave Hill. Holy Vow is wide and trailing, but getting closer, 5 lengths behind. The pace is glacial, 25-2 to a 51 half-mile time. Cellist is cruising along with 4 furlongs to go. Royal Prince is poised on the outside second, a little bit closer now as they hit that far turn run. Hidden Enemy toward the inside, racing third. Like the King is given more rain from fourth with 3 lengths to make up there. Cave Hill's winding up with a run, moves up to be fifth. Palazzi's back into sixth, and Holy Vow is seventh. So around the far turn, Cellist trying to see it out. Comes to the top of the stretch in front by a length. Royal Prince has to go now. Royal Prince coming after Cellist. They're off the turn 1-2. Like the King is there. Palazzi comes down the center of the course. Hidden Enemy gives way down toward the rail. There's 1 furlong to go, and Cellist is still there. Cellist opens back up, now by 2. Royal Prince has lost second to Palazzi. Palazzi's coming after Cellist. Time is running out. Still Cellist in front. Palazzi flying finish, second best. Cellist wire to wire. Palazzi was second. Royal Prince was third, and Hidden Enemy grabbed fourth.
Cellist able to hold off Palazzi for the win, and out of the gate, Holy Vow, things did not go well for the 7.
No, he got squeezed back a little bit, the 7, Holy Vow, after not breaking particularly sharp. And Cellist, very opportunistic ride by Julian Leperoux, perfect ride. Set the pace, controlled the pace, kind of cleared off a little bit, turning for home, and had more than enough left to hold off the late charge of Palazzi.
6-1-8, Cellist, Calumet.